जम्मू कश्मीर की सियासी हालत से सभी बखूबी वाकिफ़ है। 5 अगस्त 2019 को हिंदुस्तान की मरकज़ी सरकार ने जम्मू कश्मीर को जो स्पेशल पोजीशन हासिल थी उसे नल एंड वाइड करार दिया। आज हम सियासत की बात नहीं करेंगे, बात करेंगे डेमोक्रेसी के फोर्थ पिलर की, जिसे प्रेस कहा जाता है। आज हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए मौजूद है जम्मू कश्मीर के ओल्डेस्ट न्यूज़पेपर की एग्जीक्यूटिव एडिटर अनुराधा बसीन जी। वेलकम मैम। First of all, I want to ask you, comparatively, if we see the period before Article 370 and after Article 370, how do you see the situation?
I mean, for the press in Jammu and Kashmir, and particularly in Kashmir Valley, the free media has never really existed because there was a conflict going on. There continues to be a conflict. There has been the role of the gun, and media was caught between the two guns. In the 90s, things were very precarious for the journalists. It was very difficult to operate. There was threat of physical intimidation constantly, and I think that impacted media a great deal. But when the peace process started between India and Pakistan, so things were improving a bit, and that was a time when media in Jammu and Kashmir started thriving. There was a lot of talent that came out on surface, new people joining in, and very talented people joining. I think that was one of the best periods in journalism. There were a lot of stories to do. There were conflict related stories, and apart from conflict, how conflict had impacted daily lives and all aspects of lives, that was also being covered. Development issues were being covered. But gradually there was a change post 2008, then to more post 2010, and there was an attempt by the government to control the media. In the 90s, there were the militants and the security forces. Now the militants were not as much. They're reduced in numbers, and apparently because of that or for any other reasons, there wasn't as much threat from the militants in the recent years as there has been from the government. And the government's ways of controlling media have also become more sophisticated. Less of physical intimidation and more of trying to squeeze their financial channels, squeeze them financially and hit them financially by blocking advertisements, blocking source of information and things like that. So that had been going on gradually. After August 5th, 2019, there was an absolute control. Absolute control. One, it was exercised through that communication blockade that was imposed. There, you couldn't hear any voice from the valley at all, or from Rajouri, Poonch and Doda. There was a climate of fear even in Jammu, though the communication blockade was not as stringent. So all these things added to the inability of the media, operating freely. And even when the communication blockade was lifted, fear continues to be there in the minds of the journalists, and there are reasons. The reasons are that there is a sense of surveillance. First, they were operating out of that media facilitation center, a small little chamber where few tables and few computers were put up, and journalists had to jostle for space. 15 minutes given to each journalist. You cannot work. You feel that your entire work is on the computers of the government, and you are being watched all the time. So you cannot operate freely. There were restrictions on the roads. There was a climate of fear because anybody from the government is less and less approachable. Any ordinary citizen who's also a voice and an important source for any journalist, if you approach them and if they are victimized, particularly if they're victimized badly, and if they talk to you, they are going to be doubly victimized. once it appears in the media. So these are, questions, moral questions, ethical questions in the minds of the journalists. What story do they do and what do they leave out? Other than that, journalists have been summoned to police stations by cyber police for and objections have been raised to even words and commas. And that is something that makes fear so absolute, impacting journalism, particularly the local newspapers. Have stopped publishing anything that is critical of the government. And then that is very disturbing, because once the newspapers stop publishing, newspapers are supposed to reflect the voices of the people, ordinary people, of people, particularly of people who are oppressed, of marginalized people. And if we are not doing that, I think we're really not doing our jobs. We've had criminal cases slapped against journalists. Journalists have been picked up and detained. And that is something very worrisome for the future of media.
Okay, let's talk about media policy 2020. Last year, June 2020, government has introduced a new media policy. The main, apparently it seems that the main objectives of the policy is to curb misinformation and fake news. Why then journalists are angry?
Look, I think fake news is a problem for around the world. It is a problem, and fake news is more so a problem in India, where a section of professional media has started circulating fake news. I mean, whatever is peddled on and circulated on the WhatsApp. There are TV channels, particularly the TV channels, which pick it up, and without verifying, they are disseminating that as information. And that is extremely worrisome. For any professional in the media, this is a major concern. Anywhere in the world, in India, in Kashmir. But the way the media policy has been framed, I mean, who takes the decision and call on what is fake news? Even in India, if you see, I mentioned the television channels. When they start disseminating fake information, no action is taken against them, because some of those things go in the favor of the ruling government. And if they are actually promoting, if these fake news are, even if they are promoting lynchings or anything, they are being overlooked. In Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, that media policy, who is going to take a call on that? It's the government. So the government official will decide as per his whims or as per what pleases his bosses. At the end of the day, he is answerable to his boss. He is not answerable to the public or to me. So they haven't taken, I mean, either they should have had a panel of experts, professionals, who would take a call on what is fake news and what is not fake news. So essentially, the policy has been designed to target independent media professionals, those who speak the truth. And those who speak the truth will be singled out, and they will be told that you are telling lies. And we are seeing something like this happening in India today. Look at this whole farmers' protest and the kind of cases that have been slapped against journalists. Even though, I mean, particularly to mention the Wire editor Siddharth Varadarajan, the story that he is being accused of, that this is fake news, and therefore there should be a case against him. He's actually taken all kinds of versions, and which is what journalism is about. I mean, there are situations when things are not very clear, things are chaotic, and which was the case of that farmers' protest that day. So the best that the journalist can do in such a situation is to bring in as many voices and as many contested versions of the story, so that one can move on from there and further investigate, and that is what the whole story was about. So it is in most, and that shows that the media policy is designed to target the independent media.
Now there is we can say an official version that only doing conflict stories is not a journalism. There are a lot of problems faced by people, especially marginalized people, marginalized communities, which most of the journalists, especially freelance journalists, are not covering their grievances. Only focus on conflict areas or conflict stories. Is that journalism too?
I think everything is journalism. I'm talking about journalism particularly has to speak for the oppressed and the marginalized people, and there could be a number of problems. The thing is that in Jammu and Kashmir, majority things are linked to the conflict, directly or indirectly. I mean, we're not just talking about human rights violations, somebody being shot, somebody being tortured, somebody being picked up on fake or trumped up charges. We're also talking about how their health is being impacted. We're talking about education, how it is being impacted. And some of it may be impacted because people are living, say, in far-flung areas where certain facilities are not available. But if you probe deeper, in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, there is a conflict angle that because of the conflict, all these things have been denied to them. So I think journalists have been, the press, as I said, didn't really get much time in Kashmir to grow because there's been a constant conflict. Not just journalists, because you mentioned social media. So because everybody with the social media has empowered people in a way. And some of it is good, some of it, I mean, of course, every invention has a negative fallout as well. But that doesn't mean that the invention is bad. There are people who would misuse social media. But there are ways one needs to think of, in reasonable ways, without targeting law-abiding citizens. And preventing them from giving vent to their feelings or articulating their opinion. I think there are ways that one can find, and the whole world is grappling with this whole social media problem, but the manner in which there has been a certain kind of cyberbullying. You pick up people who are speaking against the government. They might be reasonable, logical arguments. There is no rule book in this country which says that you cannot criticize the government. It is a constitutional right. So any citizen, well within his rights, is using the right kind of language, is using the right kind of logic and criticizing the government for anything. I think that's his or her right, and they should not be persecuted for that.
Okay, being a senior journalist, you are in the field from last 30 years. What would be your appeal to the government as far as press freedom is concerned?
I think I would just say one thing, that the measure of any democracy is its free press, the kind of freedom that its press enjoys. The freer the press, the more democratic the country is, the better its image internationally is. And I think these are some of the things that the government should think about. Democracy at the end of the day is power of the people, not of those who are ruling.